Good morning. Happy New Year, Connor B. Tommy G.
Happy New Year.
Do we have a show for you? I have some good news and some bad news, but I don't think our crowd's going to like the bad news. Our crowd's a grain
No.
crowd. If our crowd was a Bitcoin crowd, they may be excited. So in the headlines, Connor B, Bitcoin on the move, 10-year yields on the move. Bitcoin up nearly 5% on the day, 10-year yields going back to a modest 4% yield. Stock market selling off. Now, grains had a hard open, Connor, and I believe you're going to take us down to the Chicago Board of Trade grain pits and talk about it a little bit. What happened on the open today, my friend?
Look at that. 2024 on the grain side did not open friendly. It's a new year, but it's really the same old headlines, Tommy. And the big one that's leading the charge, we've got rain in Brazil. And on that, we've got beans. Right now, I'm looking at my ticker. Nove beans are down 20, call it 23 cents, Tommy. So not a good start. We got D's 24 corn sitting right at that $5 level, right? We've talked about that a lot. We have not broke below that. And so we need it to hold right now, sitting at $5.50. And so wheat's down as well. Not a great, I think, cattle, if we want some positive, we'll have Brady on later, talk a little cattle, but not a good start to 2024 on the grain market.
You want to explain maybe why this is happening? I'll go full screen to you and put all the pressure on you. What is
Sure.
today, by the way? Today is
National Pick Up Your Check Day. I saw you had that headline out and it cracked me up. So I'm right down from an elevator. I've already had 2 or 3 people stop in. So a busy day if you're at the co-op, if you're the elevator, if you're a farmer, right? We're getting that check, depositing it. It's a good day. I kind of being in the elevator, I kind of miss it a little bit. Some days not so much, but I do miss
you know,
that. So go ahead, Tommy.
well, the stock market's doing the same thing. I was watching Jim Cramer on CNBC, and he said, "Watch the Big Seven. If you had big money into the Big Seven last year, you didn't want to take your profits, and
Right.
so there could be, at this level in grains, you wouldn't call it profit taking. You would just call it, liquidating and starting on a fresh new year, right? And it's not so important how the markets open today. It's really important how they close on the week. And we could talk about this more tomorrow, but in grain, sure, corn's down 5. If we did a noon show, it might be unchanged. Beans are down 25. That feels a little bit more real because the way they've been closing and stuff in the rains. There's a little bit of today should
Little
scare people. It should scare people.
Yeah. Yeah. The fundamental, right? We're getting the new year. Holidays are behind us. People going back to work. We're going to see probably more uh, volume day to day, I would think. But then fundamentally, right, the rains in Brazil, that's a bearish front. That's the main reason we're down 24 as we're talking. We might
Yep,
have to
and
end the
crude
show
oil's
early
up
too.
and some of the other markets. So gold's up, crude oil's up. Real quick, if you're out there and you want to ask us a question, if you like and subscribe to the channel, of course, if we talk about something or say something, we have pop-outs throughout the show on how to get a hold of us. You can call us or you can email us. So we're going to go through some charts. Good news, bad news about the charts. I woke up early to do the charts. That is not where the markets are now. Let's get in those charts real quick, and then we'll finish up with Mr. Brady Huck.
Yes, sir. Pulling them up. First one we got, Tommy, Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, what is it? It's north of 45,000. Talk that they're going to have an ETF and other talk. Something I saw, what was it called? Uh, Having, when we talk the Bitcoin mining, we don't have to talk a lot about this. It's going to be a little bit harder to mine Bitcoin, bullish Bitcoin, as we see on this chart. Talk about a run.
It's funny, Bitcoin's not bullish till it's bullish, and then when it's bullish, everyone wants to get in. This is like
Yeah.
trying to ask a farmer when corn's at $5 to buy a call and they have no interest. When we hit 7, they're asking you to buy the $10 calls. So Bitcoin tends to do this at the beginning of the year. I remember when Bitcoin was first put on the CME group, it rallied from 12,000 to 20,000. That was the high, and it came back down. You could have bought this thing a lot cheaper. This chart, by the way, is an hour chart. So that big yellow line going up is last night's open. Moving on to corn. Dees 24 corn. We're going to talk Nove 24 beans. We're going to talk Dees 24 Board of Trade wheat. What's going on here, Connor B? How important is that bottom line?
Huge. As you can see, that is the 5. You got that right at $5, don't you, Tommy?
Real
Yeah,
close.
as you
Yeah.
can see, with all the news we've had with the bearish run we've had from late summer through fall till now, we've held that $5 mark, right? Uh, and hopefully we continue to hold it as we're talking right now. But in terms of support, that is a huge support number. And then on your where do you have resistance at 525?
Yeah, pretty much that
Yeah,
range, 5 to 5.25. It's just been
25-cent
for
range.
a
Yep.
long time. That is D's 24 corn.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see. You made a good point on we'll see where the week finishes up, but I'd like to hold above that $5 level, Tommy.
Yeah, big report coming up here in next week, and then next week that's something to talk about. Now, this chart here, soybeans, good news, bad news. I I did this chart at 5:30 in the morning. It's now 9 in the morning, and we are 24 cents lower than that. I think we just pierced that green line, Connor. We'll update that and send it to clients here after the show.
We
If we
definitely did.
pierce the line, is it a big deal? No, but the chart guys, the technicians, the momentum, the common sense, the chart's going from the top left to the bottom right. That is not a bullish chart. And when you see that we had traded at much lower prices last summer, it's not beans right to be $13. They just have
Right.
been 13 through 17 the last few years. I've spent a lot of time in the pits trading 8, 9, and $10 beans. Are we going down to those levels? No.
I
But crazy, who am I to say no? Who am I to say no on 2024? Could we go down to $10 beans in Nov 24? Absolutely. And I bet if we looked up a $10 put, it has a bid and ask, right? Someone will issue insurance at that price.
Absolutely.
Back to you.
Absolutely. That's all I was going to say. That you remember when crude oil went negative, that never happened, right? $8 beans seem a long way away. $10, I don't know. The framework's there, so we will see.
Just
Last
a
one
little
we got,
bit more
Tommy.
optimistic chart here in wheat.
Yeah, yep. We've seen the easy right getting. We learned there was some supply going into the late summer. We've seen some easing. Now we're sitting right around that. What do you have that at 670?
Yeah, it's a solid dollar off the
Yeah.
low and trending in the right direction, not only in border trade wheat, but in KC wheat and Minneapolis wheat. And overall, as you can see with the charts we did today, Bitcoin on fire, corn and beans trending lower, wheat actually doing okay. Now, I'm going to say something here. Over the next few days, weeks, and months, you're going to watch analysts on TV. I'm one of those guys sometimes say that they think the market can bounce. No kidding, because if we keep going down at this rate, the market could bounce real hard. From where is the problem? Now, the American farmer has a couple issues right now, Connor. They don't have crop insurance on the 2024 crop, and two, they got some big, big news that's going to come out here through the government, and then we have geopolitical stuff, and we won't even talk about that. Hey, for the sake of time, let's bring Brady Huck
Yep.
in here. He's got to jump on cattle, and I'm going to pop out. You guys talk cattle. Oh, I could stay in. I'll stay in. I
There you
promise
go.
I won't talk.
Yeah.
Brady, it's all you, baby.
You talk bouncing, and we got a nice bouncing cattle market, and eventually they turn around and they go up. They don't go down every day. We got a great day here on cattle. I think guys ought to be looking at. We talked about it before the show. Guys ought to be looking here, with this type of move that we've seen off the lows of when should I be jumping in to manage some price risk and protect this type of move. Cash trade on the fat side of things was higher last week. We saw fat cattle trading $1 higher in the South. I think that's a little bit supportive. Maybe some weather issues, and then of course weaker grains. You see when the cost of gain goes down, they can afford to pay a little more for them feeders. Talking about feeder cattle real quick, the index is at 215, and January futures are at 225. 226. You've got a $9-10 spread between the index and Jan futures. Jan futures will come off on the feeder side at the end of the month. Those prices are going to come together. I think that gap's worth paying attention to. We've got a big
Good
week of
point.
sales, similar to the grain fronts here, where guys come in. We sell lots of calves right after the first of the year. Either December kind of dries up those last couple weeks, but big sales week on local auctions this week on the feeder cattle front.
I think is
Sounds
this our cattle? Did you
Oh,
load
yeah,
this
here's
up,
our-
Brady? Just looking at it.
Yep. That's a Feb fat cattle chart. Nice bounce there off the lows. Sub 165 and here at 171 just a few minutes ago. I think it actually looks a little better than that right now. But keep an eye on that green line, the 50-day moving average just above us at 174 on the Feb fat cattle side of things.
Brady, that chart's just a reminder of how much we came down. If I had to guess, I would have thought that V bottom was halfway back to the highs. Not even close. A fourth, a third.
Yeah.
We have some room we could run. I imagine that purple line would be a very actionable alert to hedging.
200-day
That's
moving average. Yep.
$8 higher from here. For some, that would be a gift.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, boys. Happy New Year. It's fun to be here. I wish I had better news to report, but we will always report the news at 9 o'clock. How do people get a hold of us, Connor B?
Yeah, feel free. Look us up, send us a email, give us a call. What's the number? 855-737-FARM farm. We'll be doing this every day. And with that, we'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.